Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Omega Mind training event here today, and look forward to talking with you. On our training event 2 weeks ago, we didn't have it last week, and partially because I wasn't feeling 100%, but we had a bit of a mix-up, and so because we've had to move people around within our company due to our growth and just due to different things that are going on. So these training events are here for you, and I will stay on here until about 4:45 today if there's questions, comments, interaction, and this gives you a chance too. And it's sort of an experiment too that I'm doing because most of our events are webinar based, and I wanted to. There's been a part of me that wanted to or want to translate or transition, if you will, out of webinars almost totally, and just go with Google Hangouts. And so I thought, I'll practice that with Omega Mind, and even to the point where I'll sit on here. And if there's people that don't get on right away but get on a little bit late, I'll be here. So I've kind of wrestled with that because some people do that. They kind of have it, call it open office hours, if you will, and let people kind of drip on during a period of time. And I've never really done that. I have with one of our programs over a couple of years, and just seemed to me to, end up kind of wasting time if people weren't using the time. And sometimes if people think that there's just, open office hours, then I don't know what it is, but people don't seem to want to get involved. And I'm finding that more than ever, that to get people involved in a program is very difficult. Most of our clients that are in our programs, unless I talking to them one-on-one, I never hear from them. Or they're watching and I can see them on our webinar, and we've got tons of them, but I'll never hear from them. So, and that's fine. But if I do an open-ended call, then I do expect that people will talk, because I don't want to waste my time, and I certainly don't want to waste your time. And there's a ton right now that I could, I've got so much curriculum I'd love to take you through. Little things that I want to do, what we're going to do in CRR, and I've tried to keep CRR really focused on an agenda and on using people periodically as case studies, but really taking people through a syllabus. Ellen is just updating our website with all of our titles for CRR because we've been a little bit behind on that. But in my EMM trainings, I've kept those a little bit more open-ended, kind of in the moment, with what we're doing, what's going on, some recommendations, and I like what we've developed. To be honest with all of you, I really do like people engaging. And so, sometimes, when you do calls like this, Omega Mind, with a lot of you that I can see here, there's a lot of people watching virtually, and there'll be very few people that will get on live, and that just seems to be the case. We've got people in Omega Mind like Susan and some others, Susan Cox, who like to watch quietly and implement and being upfront, and that is not really her style. And a lot of people are like that. So I want to respect all of you. Who you are, and I know, and if you've worked with me for any period of time, I probably will unknowingly, maybe offend you. Or do something or say something that offends you, and most of you, I don't think I've ever offended you, but I know some of you I have, and I've had to apologize for that. My dry sense of humor, or maybe I've been too tough on you, and that's something that I do wrestle with, and that because I can be so anal that I forget about people's feelings, and I say things the way they are, and Fiona's been very good for me, because when she first met me, I was very much such a control freak that I wasn't really sensitive a lot of times to people's feelings. I was just like a bull in a china shop. I know what I wanted to get done, and forget everybody else. Glenn's going to get it done no matter what. So those are the expectations, I think, that myself that have been very beneficial in business. from the standpoint of getting things done and doing things. I'm spending a lot of time right now going through and doing consults with some pretty amazing entrepreneurs all over the world that have been reaching out to me. We put an application process in. The application process has worked better than I've ever expected, even though I know that an application process is important. But sometimes, as I shared on other training events, that I want to be all things to all people, because it's also in my nature as an oldest child and as an educator, and I get talking to people and I can feel sorry for them and start giving away my time like all of you don't want to do, and I wrestle with that too at times, and I've been a lot more less accommodating, if you will, to protect my own time and make sure that I protect everybody that's invested in our program, protect your investment, which I believe I have a moral obligation to do. And that means that if I do one-day intensives, that gives me a chance, really, primarily to help to vet people for our programs, because what I found is that in such an overcrowded, over-communicated market, if you can do something that your target market, your competitors don't do, if you can spend a little more time, but with them in a way that ultimately allows greater leverage for yourself, then I'm all about doing that. So I wanted to share a few thoughts with you about why I'm doing what I'm doing. As I had a chance to take a look at our CRR program this morning with a fresh set of eyes, where we're going, what I want to accomplish with the program, what I want to teach you in a way that is not, I hope, not going to overwhelm you. As we have new people coming into the program, allows them to, if you will, move onto the highway without having to go through all 17 training events for this series of CRR, because we've got 17 training events since we launched the second round of Certification Royalty Riches back in October. So I've slowed the pace down more than what I did last year, because I went through so much so quickly. I know it was overwhelming for a lot of people that are just in our CRR program and aren't one-on-one clients, that I wanted to do something a little bit different, balance by assisting you in pushing the envelope of what you're doing, and yet being sensitive enough that people that are newer into the program, or maybe don't have as much time as some of you do in business, because I do have clients that are, we tend to attract a lot of executives who work for or work inside of an industry that have hired me out privately and do some work and with them, and they have access to our EMM and CRR calls, and they usually listen to those when they get a chance, or I'll make some recommendations to listen to this one or this one as a one-on-one client. But I want to create a program and create a system for all of you that allows everybody to get what they want, need, and that's why there's been some core competencies that I've been focusing on across everything we do. And we spent, as I've self-reflected on our CRR program, we spent a lot of time over the last couple months really talking about the 10-step blueprint to consulting, and having that blueprint and reviewing that for myself has been huge in reminding myself to follow my steps that I advocate for you. And sometimes I break the rules, and every time I break the rule, I end up wasting time. I end up talking or spending more time with the wrong kinds of people, and not to be rude or anything like that, but I've only got so much time. Each of you only has so much time. We need to protect our time, so we're actually talking to the right kinds of clients. And it's amazing if you set up a consultation process. It's amazing. Even part of our consultation process are one-day intensives, where many people haven't been yet able to make it in, and they're on a waiting list now for my next one, which is going to be on June the 9th. And if you'd like to come in for that, you can. It's going to be at the Canadian Lake Home. Our Omega Mind event is going to be, I haven't given out the exact dates yet, and I will tomorrow. But it's probably going to be the Sunday, the Monday, the Tuesday before I said on the the last event. So I think it's like the 13th, 14th, 15th, whatever that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday is in July. That will be the next 3-day Omega Mind event. I'm doing that because I want to give everybody a full 90 days to implement from our last one. We've had our first 2, like boom, right near the beginning of the year, January, boom, right at the beginning of the second quarter, the beginning of April. And for me to do it in June or do it even the 3 days after the 1-day intensive, I just don't think it gives everybody a chance to fully implement properly. That's only like 60 days plus since our last one. So I want to make sure that everybody has a full 3 months, and then our next one will be in the early part of October, sometime in that time frame. So back here at the Canadian Lake Home. So that's a little bit. I just wanted to make sure that I share with you the 10 steps that I've gone through a lot. I can't stress to you that you should follow that. You should know in your mind if you're talking to somebody, and remind yourself that if they haven't gone through the first set of steps with your business, then you shouldn't probably be talking to that person unless you're at an event. So if I'm doing a consult with somebody, I want to make sure that they've educated themselves ahead of time. So I will give them sometimes a Google Hangout to listen to, watch, make sure they've done this, make sure they filled out a consultation form, our Do You Qualify page on newgurumodel.com, that they've maybe filled out the questionnaire on that I've covered with you on the last CRR training that I did, and the graphic on the 41 questions for the pre-marketing checkup. So that's part of the process. And anytime I've cheated that process, it's almost always backfired on me, especially when you're dealing with people virtually and you don't really know who they are. So part of my qualification process is the 1-day intensives, and just even people that haven't made the 1-day intensive, like I was talking to a woman from Britain who will be moving forward with us because we've opened up 3 spots for one-on-one mentoring, and she wanted to come to my 1-day intensive and was speaking in Iceland 2 days after my 1-day intensive, and did everything she possibly could within the week to get to Vegas and then to fly, and just couldn't make a connecting flight from Vegas to go to Iceland back through the UK. So, but my point in saying that is, she was all over when she found out that there was an opening for one-on-one mentoring, all just because she'd already readied herself to come to a 1-day intensive. So my point in saying all of that is, in your process that you're putting people through, remember to help them see themselves working with you. And this woman already saw herself at the 1-day intensive with me. She saw herself doing this. She had her travel agent spending 3 days, and she was staying in touch with me on a regular basis by email, saying, we've got some potential flights and all of this, and just couldn't make it happen. So my point is, when somebody's doing something like that, they're definitely in the application process already, and they're doing something that all of you want to make sure that you do. You remember one of our speed to market concepts, especially in today's world, you want to get people involved in consuming your content as quickly as possible. And if you have a book, if you have a lower end program, and I see Winton's here, and I know Sean is on here live, you guys have introductory programs, and those programs are great. And remember, the question that you want to ask your potential clients is, how fast do you want to move? How fast do you want to make the realities of whatever program they've already invested in? How fast do they want to make that reality? Because there's a slow way of doing something, and that's why they've invested in your low-end program, and you want to congratulate them again on a great decision, because that content is amazing. But in today's marketplace that demands speed, most of your clients, your ideal clients, will want to make speed a part of their implementation. And as I tell people, you can go through a low-end program. And one of the things that I'm doing is we're going to be setting up a lot of tripwires. I'm going to be doing some boot camps on Sunday evenings at 8 o'clock Eastern. We'll probably start that next Sunday. I don't know if I'm going to have time yet this Sunday. And taking some of our different programs, offering that with a little bit of copy, not much, so you can follow what I'm doing and set it up really quickly, sending them through a $7 boot camp with you for an hour, and then a one-time offer to attend a one-day intensive with you, with me, and getting and speeding up the conversation. So what I'm focused on is transforming our list, and we have a large list. It's largely inactive today, and that's the reality of anybody that has a list, unless you are, you really have a list of buyers, and they're much better action takers. And if you frame your higher end programs, like I've mentioned already, and we can talk more about that today if you want, but frame it from the standpoint of how fast do you want to move? How fast do you really want results? How serious are you? Because most people treat a program as good as they are. So if I'm Winton and I'm talking to somebody, as good as my program is, and it is great because I am an expert in this industry of freelancing, for example, if I were selling Winton's program for them. But most people treat the program just like they're reading a book, in their spare time. And the problem with treating something in your spare time is that most people never find the spare time to do something that's absolutely critical to their success and what they really want. And there's a law, and I'm not sure what law it is, but there is a law that I see with human nature that people do what's urgent and they don't really do what's important. And I don't mean that from, a marketing perspective, building urgency before you build importance. I mean that most people are so frantic and frenetic in their life and their approach to life because they're parents, they've got kids, they have all kinds of responsibilities, if they have a job or they already have a business, and they quickly become entrenched in a business model that holds them hostage to their success. And so when I'm pushing on somebody nicely, and I'll always preface that by saying, listen, I'm not here to offend you, but I am here to be real with you, that what you're doing right now is treating business like I used to treat business, and that's really treating it as a hobby. And when you treat a business as a hobby, or you treat it like when I've got free time or in my spare time, we never have spare time. Because that time always gets taken up. So having real conversations with your marketplace, just like I'm having with you right now, no hype, just being real with people. And another reason why I really like Google Hangouts, to do your consultations on a Google Hangout. I have not done any consultations over Google Hangouts. Well, let me rephrase that. I've done a ton of consultations over Google Hangouts because I do a Business Breakthrough Google Hangout every week that I really use as a consultation with people. And I find that the less excitable I get with people, because some people treat that like I'm hypey, so I've got to be careful of that. But the more real I am with people, like I'm talking with you right now, the more success that I've been able to have, and just really getting and helping people think critically about their business and about what it is that they really want, and asking them some tough questions. And always, before I ask them tough questions, making sure that they know that that get their permission. So as if they were just a $35,000 Omega Mind client, I'm going to give you some specific advice and recommendations, and it's not my intention to offend you. If I say something that potentially might offend you, it's to give you the kind of advice that my clients and that they invest big dollars for my advice. So making sure that you frame leveraging Google Hangouts. I can't tell you how important that is in the consultative process. I haven't done yet any one-on-one consults like I'm doing right now with you, with anybody yet. I will. I'm just still stuck on either doing Skype calls or actually on the phone with people because I like the fact that they can listen, take notes, and I still abide by the research that shows that people's attention levels are at the highest when they're actually on a phone call. So I figure if I'm doing Google Hangouts, that's all part of my consultative process. They're already getting a chance to meet me. They're getting a chance to see who I am, how I operate, getting a chance to feel the intensity of my approach in business, and that I don't treat business lightly, and I don't treat any client lightly. And sometimes I'm a little bit too tough, as I said, and I've had to apologize periodically, and for the way that I've come across, or maybe something I've said that I didn't mean to, and I just realized afterwards, it's like, I said something incorrectly. I really like the consultative framework that I've gone through with you and reinforced with you over and over again. We spent a lot of time on that because the more you are in the consultative mode, the faster your company will grow. And one of the things that I found, I'm really good on calls, and I'm really good at closing deals. And I'll close a bunch of deals, and then I'll stop talking to people, and like in a consultative format, and I'll start doing other things. And it's almost like subconsciously I feel like I'm out of the game again. I'm not talking to people. I'm not listening the way that I want. I'm not handling the consult the way that I want, even though I've been doing this for years and years and years. And I find that those muscles, those consultative muscles, if you will, they need to be reinforced. They need to be reinforced every single week, because when I'm not doing a consult, I'm growing weaker. It's sort of like, if you haven't picked up a weight, and I went almost 3 weeks and not done anything physical since Omegamind, because I got intensely ill when I came back, and I started back yesterday in the gym, and then today already I had my training with Chris and with Adam at 11 o'clock this morning, because I'm doing my trainings now that it's spring and moving into summer in midday as a break, and I'm getting up even earlier now to start my day really early, just so I can fit that in the middle of the day and have my evenings with my family. But if you don't practice those muscles or you don't exercise them, it's amazing how they hurt and how they rebel, and how something, I was like in the best shape that I've been in a very long time 3 weeks ago, and I started back yesterday after not doing anything, not even walking, literally just getting through the day in business, and coming home and collapsing and sleeping, and just not feeling well, blurry vision and everything. It's amazing that if a reality in athletics where I can feel that when I haven't exercised those muscles, the same thing in business. And the same thing through the consultative process. So I can tell you this, the more you do one-on-one consults, I want to challenge all of you here that are watching virtually, that are here actively, don't give up the consultative process. Even as you grow your company and it's growing, and you think, man, I don't need any more clients, spend time all the time and practice your consultative approach. Do it over and over and over and over again. It should become a core competency in your business. It has to be. And if you're not willing to do it, then you need to find somebody that you can trust to do it for your company. However, if that person leaves, or if something happens, it's going to fall back on you. Because if you want to sell and position high-end programs and services, you're going to have to spend some time one-on-one with people to talk to them, because it's not the same as it was 2-3 years ago, where you could do a webinar and you could close people into a $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 program. I've been doing this a long time, and I'll tell you, it's almost impossible to do that. That's why I like the application approach. If you're going to do a webinar or a Google Hangout, an application approach to work with you, and then let people follow the process. Because if they don't follow the process, they're not going to follow what you tell them to do when they invest in your programs. I mean, it's hard enough for me to get people to interact in my own program, and we've got great clients in our programs, and I don't mean this as any negative, so apologize now. I don't mean this to those of you that sit quietly, you take notes and you implement, and you don't necessarily want to get on live or involve yourself in a live format. But you're doing things behind the scenes, and that's the way you like it. Hey, more power to you. We all have our own learning styles, and I'll tell you this though: the more accountable you are in a public forum, and this I believe is the safest forum that you'll ever be in. Those of you, you're all part of Omega Mind. We have an amazing group. If you can't be real with somebody in our group, I'm doing something incorrectly in selecting the best people for the program. So those are my opening comments. I've been rambling a little bit, but I also want to reinforce some crucial core competencies around business, and you can't lose sight of the consultative process. No matter how good business gets, there's always going to be some slower times. There's always going to be times where you've got to start selling again. You've been doing all this marketing, now's the time to reap the rewards. And if you leave the consultative process to kind of a quarterly approach, which I've fallen into that off and on, or a every 6 to 8 weeks approach, it's weird, but I'll almost not look forward to the consult, or there'll be a part of me thinking, oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm ready, and all this kind of stuff. And if I'm doing that, I'm sure that each of you are struggling with that to a certain degree, and I've been doing this for a long time. So it's funny, but as you start doing more consults, you start enjoying it more. You might start dreading it at the beginning and think, oh my goodness, it just seems like a huge process. But if you have some specific steps, and as you develop your company and grow those steps a little bit more, build some meat around each of those steps, like your vetting process. If you're new in business and you're new in our Omega Mind program, you probably don't have a very established vetting process. And you know that I'm well, if you don't know that, I'm a huge proponent on just then get it 2 or 3 really simple steps in. A Google Hangout that you do, an executive summary that you have, and follow that process, and then set up a questionnaire that you can ask people before they get on a call, so you kind of understand who these people are. Let me just read to you here. I got to read this to you. Let me just call up my Gmail here. I've got to read to you this one application here, because this is why you have an application process. Let me see if I can find this person. I will just it'll be quick, because I did respond to this person. I almost didn't want to respond, but I figured this guy's gone through the application process. So if I'm not looking at you right now, it's just because I'm checking my email. Okay, here's this. Okay, so this guy went through our application process. The old Glenn, who doesn't follow the process sometimes, because Glenn gets in the moment and Glenn wants to please everybody, and and stuff like that. And sometimes I give people access to me. If they, I have in the past, they phone our office, or and I just haven't put them through it, and I talk to them. This is ridiculous that I would even think of doing that, and I'm ashamed of telling you that I've robbed my time that way. But this person emailed me back, hi there, Glenn. Yes, I got the email, and this was all, entering step 2 of the application process, which is send me a few times, and I will confirm a time with you to set up our consult. So I congratulated them that over the several hundred applications that have come in, we've selected that person to move into step 2. So it was just a simple email to send me a few times. I will confirm a time, or Ellen in my company, to set up our consult time. So very simple email, very clear directions, and here's the email I get back from this person with spelling mistakes and all kinds of stuff here. Hi there, Glenn. Yes, I get the mail. but I do not see what to do or where or how. Went to the site and got access, or here I sit. I have no idea what to do as ever. Decades of nuggets in my head, no idea how to get that to turn into dollars without spending what I do not have after being robbed of livelihood. Kind of hard. So exactly what do I have to do then? So I already told you what the directions were, okay? Mean, do, not sit watching. Okay, this, I'm reading what I have here. Some hype cast thingy movie stuff. I have so many things go. I do not turn sound on when at computer, else I would only hear everyone's movies play all over at once. Then tonally droon me into loss. I can read and apply steps. Can you? But I do not see how watching movies will earn anything. I have no idea why the person is saying this. Only more ways to ask for money out of me. As ever, I want to get on that side of things again so I can earn, not more things to tease me about what till not do have. Make it a great day by intent and design. The person finishes off. Make it a great day by intent and design. I have no idea why this person sent me this email. Why this person can't follow directions, and I just share that with you, why you have to have an application process and why you need to screen people and why you should refuse to waste time with somebody like that. Just like beyond me. So anyways, I did reply to that person. Thank you for applying. Unfortunately, all of the slots that I've had available have been taken. Good luck in the future. Respectfully, Glenn, and just sign off an email because there is no way that person's moving into step 2 with me. So anyways, the old Glenn wouldn't have had a process set up, who thinks that everybody loves Glenn and is ready for coaching, because why wouldn't you? I'm amazing. And then I talk to some of these people and I just end up wasting time, and you don't want to waste time like that. And when you're dealing with the internet, you got all kinds of people from who knows where. And that's an American too, Bruno. Oops, I used the person's name. I won't use his last name. But based on the phone number, he's American, unless he's got a Skype number from someplace else. But anyways, Bruno does not qualify to work with me, and nor will he ever qualify to work with me. Yeah, I don't care if he's got the money. He is not coming into my program. Don't want that kind of client. So again, the reason why you have an application process and why you want to be very careful in the kinds of questions that you're asking, so you attract the right kinds of people. And I've been speaking to a lot of the right kind of people too. So I'll stop. And is there anything I can do to assist you? I trust that you've benefited from letting me ramble. And I have, I guess, stopped to come up and allow anybody to come up for air, myself included. But I'll stop there, take a drink of water, and you'll notice there's no more dry hacking cough. So I'm not drinking because I have dry hacking cough. I'm drinking because I'm still feeling my workout from today. So any comments, questions, something you want to think through, an aha moment that you've had, anything, we're on this here together. You might have to unmute yourself if you're trying to speak. I've got 2 of you on here, so Winton or Sean, or those of
Glenn.
you, there's several of you that are watching virtually. In order to ask questions, if you're new to our program, you'll need to get the live URL, a link to come on and talk to me directly.
Glenn, it's Winton. How you doing?
Oh, hey, Winton, hold on one sec. Sorry, let me just take my headset off here. Okay, go ahead, Winton.
Just what I needed to hear today. I kind of, after getting my first mastermind filled up in December, January, kind of, put it off to fill up the next 6 members, and really emphasizing the importance of having a continuous process, because right now I have a lot of vetting calls that I have to make that, it just messes up your schedules. I mean, I literally have probably 10 hours of vetting calls over the next 2 weeks that,
right.
Which is a good thing, but it is, it's a time consumer, and doing, it's sort of like the eating an elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah.
A lot easier to do continuously than to sort of get out of playing that game. It'd be like a basketball player that quit playing for 3 months, and then you go back and try to shoot shots from the line or something.
Right. Well, I mean, I stopped working out for 3 weeks, and as Fiona reminded me, and so is Chris. It's not like I wasn't, not working out and still having a normal day. I was like sitting and then flat on my back. So
Sure.
I just want to use that analogy, how uncomfortable it's been back in the gym, and how last night I didn't even get through the sprints that we had with resistance sprints because I thought seriously I was going to puke. That's how out of shape I am. And if I feel that in business, or sorry, in athletics, how much more do I feel that in business when I haven't done activities that require me to constantly keep everything sharp? And I just want to stress to you again, a commitment that I've made to myself in 2014 is to maintain the consultative process myself all year. And I'm not saying you got to do 10 calls each week, even 1 call a week, but you should have periods of time where you're spending a lot of time on the phone, and you need to like doing it. Hold on a sec. I've got the YouTube link open here, and I can hear myself now. Let me just close that down. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, it's actually very enjoyable. I mean, these are people you're talking to, potentially going to be your peeps, and it's a very easy conversation because they understand they're in a process, and they're being vetted, so they're paying attention, and that's a very good thing.
Absolutely, and that's where I said, like, if you don't want to do this, and I know you don't want to, but I also know you're protective of your time, you travel, and we all want a lifestyle business. But part of the joy of business is talking to people, or have somebody in your company that's fully trained that you can trust to vet people for you. I just think, especially if you're newer in business or you're starting a new program, I just think at some level you've got to be involved. The owner of the company's got to be involved, because there's just too many people today willing to do it, and most people aren't, by the way, but the ones who are willing to do it are the ones that are going to grow their companies fast. And you can have a great lifestyle business. I do a lot of my consults if I'm traveling. I'll book them, on a period of time while I'm on the road or I'm just traveling, and I could do them that way. I do like to do them in the office, and I do like to tape them so that I have that and I can share that with clients. Some of my consults, so that they get a chance to hear me and watch and learn what I do. So I think for anybody that thinks they can grow a company, like the 4-hour work week, I think there's no such thing as a 4-hour work week. I won't even use the author's name, but that person spends as much time promoting his book and speaking at seminars and traveling and doing all that. And there's nobody doing 4 hours. I just, I think, I don't think you got to put 40 hours in, but I think if you're going to grow something new, or you're just starting a business, you're going to be working hard. We all want to, instead of working hard, we want to work smart, which means you've got to put the hours in. So we want to make sure that where you put your time in has got the greatest payoff, and making sure that you got a consultative process and that you got a way to follow up with people and engage them at a deeper level is going to pay off huge. We put a quote out on my Facebook page yesterday, and I'm not bright enough to quote it, so let me just go here just for a second here. Fiona actually found this for me, so she sent it to Ellen, and Ellen posted it for me. But the quote was, entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. And part of having a business is the joy of the journey, and is to grow yourself. And nobody can grow themselves sitting on a beach, day after day after day, reading books and living in your head, and in full retirement. I don't think anybody is satisfied with that kind of life. I think after a month of that, we would all grow intensely bored with life, and there's got to be something else that motivates us and inspires us. And it's why, Winton, for example, you so believe in freelancing, because it allows people to, especially people that are, baby boomer age, that are moving into their second career. People want something that inspires them, that causes them to get up in the morning, and there's something to be said for doing something that you love, that you don't have to do. And I don't have to speak to people, but I choose to do it for a number of reasons, and one of them is because I want to help you. Secondly, if I want to help you, I got to stay sharp myself, and it's just a reminder to myself to make sure, and a commitment that I've had to make sure that I follow the consultative process, and that's why I've been spending so much time on it, because I've got three fingers pointed back to me to remind myself that I've got to stay sharp.
Yeah, very good. So all good things, and really second that position of staying sharp and keep it going continuously at some level. And even when you're traveling or busy, that's the priority call. And
Yeah.
You're able to figure out the schedule across time zones and things easily enough these days. And that's something you're just going to have to get comfortable with if you are traveling across time zones. That was a frustration for me for quite a bit of time, but once you get used to it, it's not so bad.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, Sean. Nice background.
Yeah, welcome to Manhattan.
What are you doing for your background so you can tell everybody? I have no background here, and I've never used a background. But Kellen does. You do now, Sean, obviously.
Yeah.
What are you doing for your background?
I went on Amazon.com and bought a little green screen kit. So I got a green screen and a couple of those light umbrellas to give me a nice light for about $120, and downloaded a piece of software called SparkoCam that Kellen recommended, and it interacts really well with the green screen. So then I thought it'd be more fun, just sort of interesting background, because I wanted to do. I decided to do that little show in a really produced little nugget instead of the long-term hangout. Right. And so I thought it'd be more fun. So if you saw the show, there's a great white shark leaping off the screen to come bite you in the show. So I talked about swimming with the sharks without being eaten alive, right? Sort of just for fun. Yeah. And then I had the bullet points that I make on the show appear in the shark's mouth. So I kind of had fun with it. I think it made it fun and more interesting.
Here, if you could do the following for us, maybe summarize what you just said and put it on the Facebook group.
Sure.
The kit you bought, the lights. I've got a couple of lights here. I'll show you a very simple system. They're lights that look like this right here. They give me the lighting. They clamp onto my desk here, and that's worked well for me. I think it's maybe the lighting's not 100%. Let me know what you think, but I'm all about making things as easy as possible and modeling what's easy.
Yeah, well, I just thought it was fun and a little bit more interesting, and it helps me keep excited and engaged.
Yeah.
And make something that's a little bit more stand out from the sea of sameness. At least it's funny, the world that we live in is so weird, because most people that I run into still don't even know what a hangout is. And in my world, I'm like, oh, another guy sitting on a hangout talking, right? So it's just a bit, I think our perception is funny sometimes.
Sure, absolutely.
So I wanted to do something different.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So yeah, if you could just do that, what you purchased, where you got it, what you used.
Sure.
That would be great.
Yep. I got some pretty cool graphics too from a young guy in India, and I had met with him through Fiverr a while ago, but now I can work with him directly, and I posted how to reach him on there as well. So.
Yeah, that's great, and that's why we have the Facebook group, so we can share
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate, Sean, your willingness to share some of the assets that you've been putting together with everybody. I really appreciate your level of commitment to the group, not just to your own company, but to the group.
Mm-hmm.
And it will serve you unbelievably well.
I
And
think so. I feel very grateful for all the help of everybody and the encouragement of everybody. It's a really good thing.
yeah, no, that's great. Any other recommendations on what you're doing, or Winton, or any questions that either of you have? We've got two of you that are joining live right now, and I have about 5 more minutes here
I
today.
have what I hope might be a quick question.
Yeah,
Is in terms of thinking about a one day. I'm getting ready to structure some one days,
yeah,
and just at the top level, how would you structure the flow of the day? Maybe the 5 or 6 things that you would touch on in what sequence? I mean, and you obviously know about my stuff, but just it could be
yeah.
generic.
A couple of things that I would recommend, that if you, I know, do you saw my one? Did you see my one day in Vegas, Winton? I can't. Oh no, you weren't there, were you?
No, I was in Panama that day, so
I changed the day around. Sean can comment. Sean, why don't you first of all, from your perspective, what was different with the one day than the other, like the previous one day that I did in January?
Well, the agenda was different. It was, I think, much more focused on conversion. Frankly, I think it was much more focused, much more effective on conversion. And while there was plenty of content, the content was less overwhelming to the attendees and more movement focused, more clarity, more movement focused. And I thought you'd obviously made some adjustments and done some practice. I thought
Yeah,
it was very much more focused, and uh, I mean, there was plenty of content. Nobody complained that they didn't get
no,
near as much content, and I
yeah.
think they actually got a more manageable amount of content. And but it was clearly much more focused on an execution strategy to me.
Yeah, and that's a really good observation. So, Winton, what I did is this, because you've seen one of my one days, right? I think you saw
yes,
Christmas at the Canadian Lake Home.
yes.
Um, and so what I did is this, I broke the day into two halves,
Hmm.
which before my goal was just to give so much valuable content that my ideal clients would just say, wow, you know what? I'm impressed. I'm going to gulp and make the investment because I realize that I really need assistance with the execution, and that's really what I want people to see and feel. But what I did on the other events, like I was doing a lot of content, almost like definitely too much content, and I broke the day. I stopped on so much content. There's still, as Sean said, there's a lot of great content, but I did closes in the day. I broke the day into two parts. So before lunch, I had a close. I talked about coaching and co-branding. So I stopped with the certification part. As I said to you on previous events, that there was too much of a pushback on people. So I wanted to downplay certification, focus on coaching and co-branding. And I broke the
Hmm.
day into some of our systems that we've created as a company, how to close deals, how to convert, and then focusing on the big change that's going on in the marketplace, which is coaching and co-branding. And I did that because it was heavier, right? The whole concept
Uh-huh.
of that, instead of the end of the day and then leading into Omega Mind, I did it at the beginning of the day, right before lunch, and I kept the heaviest part of the day before lunch, and then I did a close on coaching and co-branding. Um,
Okay.
and then the second half of the day was lighter. It was still really good content, but it wasn't as thinking oriented. And
Sure.
it gave people a chance to kind of just see what I'm doing. And then the second part of the day was focusing on our Mastermind Monetizer program, which is kind of how to use upscale places, um, and then I close on Omega Mind, and if they move forward, people would have access to both of those programs, which was really what I've been communicating in Omega Mind, that each of you can build your own high-end mastermind groups. You don't have to be an expert, or you can follow our model and use an upscale venue and help build your own coaching and co-branding program. So I looked at the power of Omega Mind from two different perspectives. That was my goal, and then giving them content that many of them will already have. Like I went through a private client letter formula and stuff like that people have bought.
Right.
But it's amazing, Winton, that even when people buy stuff, it's amazing when they come in for a one-day, their emotional connection with you is so much different, and they might have seen stuff already, but they see it. Oh, there's my dry hacking cough now. But they'll see something like they've never seen it before, and so I wanted to make sure that there were concepts that were reinforced.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
So I would look at what's the offer that you're offering them, and you're offering your high-end program, which I believe is 18 grand right now, right?
15.
15 grand, and looking at making the offer at two different times. One at the end of the first part of the day, and maybe that's a sub-component. Like look at your offer and break it into two major components. And I
have the co-branding and the mentoring program.
Right.
So the mentor is the opportunity to work on them. The co-branding is the opportunity to work with me.
Right. Yeah. And so then those are your two major components of your offer. Then break that into, and I would make each of those offers equivalent to 15,000. So by moving forward with you, they get both of those programs in the accelerated version, which I call Omega Mind. You have your own program. So it's a better way of helping people see the value from the standpoint of the next step that they should be taking.
Right. Okay. Very good.
And that obviously worked because Sean saw it right away, how much better it was, and there were a few other people that have seen my one day that commented about how much more powerful the day was.
Great.
Yeah, no question.
I think, and this is where I struggle with, to be upfront with you, I've always struggled in closing because I am a teacher by training, by passion. I think that people will move forward just with great training, and they have. I want to remind myself and remind you that you do have a job to make sure there is a clear offer articulated. Don't be scared of it. Don't be ashamed of it. People want to be sold, and people want to invest. And if they can't invest because of, by and large, the reason why most people don't invest in our higher end programs is because they simply don't have the money. But I'll tell you this, they're hooked on me. They're following up with me. They're following me, and they want to be involved, and they're doing things to help themselves get involved in the program. And so there are lots of people that will be in your queue because you've done that. Not only that, Winton, but if somebody sees you doing something and they think that's a really good idea, like for example, certification co-branding or coaching and co-branding now, as we're calling it, if they're seeing that, you can bet that people will be willing to go the extra mile if Glenn Dietzel isn't or his company isn't, to try to do what I'm doing and then do everything they possibly can to pitch people into their own program. So I think by giving people the opportunity to come in for a one-day intensive, and at least if people can't make it, at least they know that you are open enough to have people meet you in an event like that. It just furthers the conversation, and it gets them to want to like, know, and trust you more than somebody else that's not doing that or unwilling to do that. Sure.
And have you found the $450 price being kind of a a good benchmark for what you charge for a day
For
seminar?
450.
Yeah.
There's
Or
been
is it
people that have
495?
come. There's been key people that have come as my guest.
Sure.
There's been people that have come because they've entered a competition where we've done social media competition. You know, the fun one we did at Christmas. If you post my picture, you
Right.
can the cost. And there's people that have come anywhere from $97 or $197.
Okay. Got it.
That's the price point that I've put on those days, and I haven't gone any higher than that.
Right.
And I think personally, unless I put a full Salesforce team on, you know, pitching 500, 1,000, I just find people there's a sweet spot for people that want to.
Yes.
Right? And I think part of the vetting process is if they're willing to travel to Canada or willing to fly somewhere and come in,
Right.
they're already qualifying themselves for the next step that, you know, they could do something financially.
Okay. Yeah, I like how you do those 1 days in advance of an Omega Mind training.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have quite that option because all of my mastermind meetings are outside the U.S.
Right.
And I know that's a barrier, and in Latin America, and that's a barrier for a lot of people. Are not, you know, Canada feels like a chip shot compared to Mexico.
Yeah, one of the people coming in from on Monday, Sadiq, who's in Atlanta, just like he was talking to me today. He goes, you know, okay, so how do I, you know, and he originally is from Canada when he came from Pakistan. A super nice guy, done a ton of business with Sadiq. He's one of the top 100 LinkedIn people in connections and stuff. And you know, I was just going through again how to get here, and you know, because we talk as friends as well. We've done so much business together, but over the years. But he, you know, for him it wasn't quite the chip shot, I guess. Even though he's came to Canada originally and now he's been living in Atlanta for most of his life. But I just think it's part of the vetting process.
Right.
You know, I don't know if Jose's on here, but you know, Jose came because she entered the competition.
Sure.
Chris did too. Chris DeFolly, one of my own, you know, people here locally.
Sure.
You know, he didn't pay, but he entered the competition to come, and you know, they came into my programs as two examples of people that you would know.
Sure.
And they ended up investing in the program, you know, and they both said they would probably never have had they not taken the time, immersed themselves for a day, and just were blown away. Than just, you know, spending a little bit of time on my website or watching a Google Hangout or something like that. There's something that happens that's very transformative when people go on a journey, commit themselves to that, meet you, spend a day with you.
Yes.
Something really powerful that I've seen, and that I'm humbled to have a lot of conversations with people that want to move forward right now and are trying to find the money to move forward. And but you know, I've got them. You know, they want to be involved with me clearly.
Sure.
And they're doing everything they possibly can to make that happen.
Good.
I'm just checking the time here. I'm going to have to jump off here. I tried to keep a couple minutes buffer here. I've got another appointment at 5. So I trust that this has been hugely beneficial to those of you that are live, Winton and Sean.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
And those of you that are watching in a safe place on our private client site or on our YouTube channel. I don't think you can watch it.
I had a little Mexican internet interruption there and had to scratch and claw my way back in on my wireless portable modem, but made it back in.
There you go. And that's on wireless, and you've done your communication's been really good. So that's
right. Good. So, ole.
Ole. All right. I'll see all of you. I'll talk to all of you again next week. And thanks for sharing and posting in our Facebook group. I will be a little bit more involved. I've been kind of a little detached, just preserving my energy over the last couple weeks. And look forward to it. And I really look forward to what we're going to be covering between now and our next Omega Mind meeting on our CRR training events. So make sure, if you can, get on those live, because I've got we're going to be covering a lot. and reinforcing a lot too over the next couple of months. So have a great one, everyone, and good seeing you, Sean and Winton.
See ya.
Yep, see you guys.